look at that, look at that, look at that. Whoa, look at that. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Could you put down the camera phone, please, sir? Could you put down the camera phone and please leave the building? Okay. Oh, thank God he's gone. Gives me an idea for an article, though. What's the story, Internet? This is Heritage Media, and today's video is Battle Angel Alita, or at least the rather extremely strange controversy about the body shape of Battle Angel, in specific how she looks and the over-sexualized nature of her body. Screen Rant, for instance, gives us this one. Alita has a design problem, but it's not her big eyes. It states that the movie failed to compellingly explain why her android body conformed to sexualized ideal body type. This is a sexualized ideal body type. I'm sorry, Screen Rant, but do you remember this? It's only been a couple of years ago. How about this? Or, seeing as I'm a lad in my mid-40s, how about this? I definitely remember that. To my mind, these are girls who conform to a sexualized ideal type. Not this. This, brace yourself for the triggering, is actually this. An athlete. An Olympic class athlete. Specifically a gymnast. That's the physiological type that Alita has. That's what she needs, because her entire combat style is based around speed, dexterity, being lithe and maneuverable. Greenman, for instance, says that further, it also doesn't make sense that any woman, human or cyborg, having the opportunity to transform their body into that of a warrior's, would enlarge her breasts and trim her arms, waist and legs. For example of how women think warrior women should look in media, look to the redesigned She-Ra. You mean the little boy that's now playing She-Ra, alright. Or the Amazonian women of Themyscira. Now, it's worth pointing out here that Alita isn't an Amazon. She's a martial artist. She doesn't need bulk. She doesn't actually need strength. Although in fairness, her body is all completely technological. All of which she channels through. It makes absolutely no sense for Alita to have a large musculature. She doesn't actually have muscles. What you're looking at there is all technology. The girl is like Spider-Man. She can lift a tank over her head. She doesn't need bulging biceps to do so. I got a particular laugh out of this paragraph though. But Battle Angel goes to the trouble of explaining why Alita's URM body transformed from how she originally found it to a body with large breast, small waist and an overall thin appearance. After Ido connects Alita's core to the body, it transforms and Nutso hard makes a comment that the tech is conforming to Alita's idea of how she should look. The contrast between how the movie treats Alita's eyes, which are just big because, to the way the URM androids were designed versus her body, implies that the filmmakers knew they'd need to explain why her body became over-sexualized. The filmmakers knew they needed to justify why Alita went from the muscular appearance of the original URM body to the sexualized feminine body it becomes in order to maintain the character's manga design. Well, little difficulty here. You see, it wasn't a muscular URM body. It was a proto-form. You could presumably say at some stage in the lore they were going to hook blokes up to these bodies too, and presumably they would conform to their view of themselves. It would make a hell of a lot more sense than just making male and female bodies that people could plug into. Alita, it has been said many times, is a girl. She's female. The first body she's in, that Ido built for his daughter, was made for a 12 to 13-year-old girl. They don't have breasts, and the hips aren't that wide. So when she actually finally got plugged into a body that could conform to how she's meant to look like, naturally, she had hips and she had breasts, or at least the appearance of which, because in her mind, she's a woman. As they actually state in the film when they say, well, she's a lot older than we thought she was. To go further on in the article, to imply that Alita would choose a sexualized ideal female body type over a more practical, sexualized one isn't just laughable, it goes against everything established about the character. Oh God, I don't know what's wrong with the people who write these articles, but I'm sensing some fierce internalized misogyny here. Like, she doesn't pick that physiological type to be sexual. She doesn't have any meat anywhere on her. Her face and chest are indeed synthetic too. The only actual meat in her is her mind. So her entire body is what she thinks she should look like as a woman. It's not done for sexual purposes. It's done for combat purposes. As stated earlier, she needs that physiology in order to be as nimble as she is. The first thing she does once she's testing out her body is a calisthenics routine in which she ends up on one finger. That wasn't shown to try and turn people on, it was to show just how dexterous and nimble she is. But let's move on. She's not the only person to go a little bit insane over this design. This is from the New York Times. Alita Battle Angel review. Do female cyborgs dream of breasts? At one point in Alita Battle Angel, another dystopian fantasy that reminds you of just how visionary the original Blade Runner was. Yeah, so original it stole a lot of its stuff from Judge Dredd, as well as an awful lot of the mangas that were knocking around in the early 1980s too. So let's not think about that. The cyborg heroine gets a new body. It's a streamlined shoulder to foot job that makes her look like a sex doll from a chrome-plated musculoskeletal system. Oh, sorry, Her new physique turns out to be an innovative weapon which comes with articulated parts, a wasp waist, and what looks like a discreet chastity panel for the groin. Who looks at this stuff? Seriously, what were you doing in the cinema if this was what was taking your mind? And also has larger breasts than the old model. Yes, the old model, which was a 12-year-old girl. And a change that is in Snort Out Loud line is pinned on Alita's own ideas about how she should look. Because, you know, in the entire history of the world, young girls up 12 years of age, I never thought what they're going to look like when they're 20 years of age and compared it to everyone else that they know around them. Oh, Lord. If only someone here were joking or had an idea about the construction of femininity. I'm starting to wonder if you guys know what women even look like, considering how over the top your reaction to this body. Let's remember again, boys and girls, this body. This is what they deem to be a large-breasted, over-sexualized character. So, getting back here. Why does Alita Rosa Salazar, who has a human brain, even have breasts? Why does any cyborg that isn't a sex bot or a wet nurse? She doesn't have any physiology that's human besides her brain. Oh, God, it's good. Genre convention only partly explains the on-screen look to this character. Originally created by Yukito Kishiro in his manga series, Kishiro sexes up his cyborg, an amnesiac who in the first comic retains one protuberant breast when the rest of her body is destroyed. This brings to mind Jessica Rabbit, the vivacious femme fatale in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, who purrs, "I'm just drawn that way." Yeah, but by whom and why? This is insane. Seriously, how much thought has just gone into this one specific thing? It's just unbelievable. Alita is the latest from James Cameron, though he only takes some of the blame. He was going to direct, but handed over to Robert Rodriguez. Along with several veterans from Avatar, it raised expectations that Alita would at least look good, different or inspired, but too much of the overall design feels borrowed by turns working on monochromatic clutter of District 9, Ready Player One, and randomly milling anonymous hordes of whatever. Everything tends to remind you of something else, including Alita. I'm not going to go into great detail much more of this article here, but I did think this actually stood out. She said, Cameron used a version of this technology to great effect in Avatar, a reminder that whatever his limitations as a filmmaker, he's a great visual storyteller who's invariably easier on the eyes than the ears. Salazar's performance, alas, is consistently bland. Now, I'm sorry, I've actually seen the film twice at this stage. And I've got to say, she makes the film. Her performance is fantastic. It's sublime. I don't know what they're talking about saying that it was bland. It's anything but bland. Salazar makes Alita endearing, charming, enthusiastic and passionate, inquisitive. It's amazing just how much childishness she managed to bring to this role as she slowly goes from being an amnesiac to the full-fledged warrior. I can't fault Rosa's performance in this film. She was magnetic. The main draw of this film is her performance and how she relates to the fellow characters. The natural father-daughter relationship that they build up with Ido. Even Hugo. I know a lot of people have been giving out about their relationship and they thought it was a little bit wooden. But at least it was genuinely innocent. At least it felt like something wholesome, which is not a lot of things you'll say lately these days. But let's get back to the article again. It's easy to imagine that both Salazar and Rodriguez would have fared better if her face had been left alone rather than rendered into a stylized manga cartoon, which was kind of the point of the film, but, you know. Complete with a heart shape and eyes even bigger than Emma Stone's. It's vaguely diverting to stare at Alita's face. Alita at first, to ponder its shape, texture, pale colour, and the way that her brow furrows when she's being empathetic. I'm sorry, who goes to a movie to do this? When I went to see this film, I wasn't staring at her face. I was following the storyline. I was getting engaged in the characterization, the story arc. To see the wonderful interaction between Ido, between Hugo, between Alita, as she fully realised herself as a character. I never once sat there and thought, that's a lovely pale face. Oh, sorry, I mean, I swear, when I look at stuff like this, I really have to wonder what mentality you have. How can you go into a movie and be distracted by all this technicalities? I think that's actually what's happened here. I think they've gone in and just did the usual critic things. Oh, it's a special effect. I won't pay attention to that. It's the film. She is an animated character as much as any other character. Anyway, back to the article. There's so little at stake in Alita Battle Angels that blurs into an uninvolving spasm of visual and oral noise as it launches to the cliffhanger ending set up for the promised sequels. I think that pretty much says it all. They didn't actually pay attention to the story at all. They weren't drawn into the characters. They didn't feel any emotional resonance with them, which I have to be honest with you, after seeing it the second time, is what really drew me in. The sheer heft that it has on an emotional front is what helps with Battle Angel. But I'll keep that for a review that I'm going to do down the road. Let's get back to this again. Battle Angel Alita is not over-sexualized. She is not possessed of large breasts. She has exactly the body that she needs to be an Olympic-class gymnast. The one that best suits her combat style. That's all it is. What's going on with these two ladies here seem to be an awful lot of internalized misogyny. I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know why America seems to be going down this increasingly strange route where anything female, anything sexy, anything could be considered ideal is mocked, derided and attacked. There's nothing wrong with being slim. There's nothing wrong with having hips and breasts. More than likely, most of the girls you'll ever see will look somewhat like Alita. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, take care guys. That's my take on this insane attack on Alita for the most ridiculous reason I've heard yet. She's not a sexy cyborg. She's a kick-ass fighting machine. Hope you like this video. If you like, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Fwah!